Hi, we are on the cusp of new moon, which will take place on September 2nd at 9:55 in the evening on the Eastern Coast. I am going to be speaking about that alignment, the beautiful alignment of the sun and the moon coming together in that embrace that creates the stage, the seed stage for the unfoldment of the moon growing in light and shedding her petals towards the full moon. And I'm super excited to be here to speak about this. And I really wanted to control myself and perhaps not come on this at this time. But I feel so inspired by this new beginning that is looming on the horizon for everyone with regards specifically to that Pluto return into Capricorn, where it has been since 2008. And I'm not going to get into the historical events that have marked this time. I've noticed that there's a lot of that information available to everyone who wants to research on YouTube and other social media platforms. What I would like to focus on is the opportunity for the growth and the expansion that is available to everyone in key area of life that is signified by the house placement of Capricorn in your chart. Hi, my name is Sophia. This is your channel. I am Soma, Nectar of the Gods. We all are Nectar of the Gods if you understand that we live in a solar system on the planet Earth, of course, Mother Earth, and that Mother Earth is in a solar system that is potentially on an arm of a galaxy called the Milky Way, and that the Milky Way is spinning, we understand, and that due to the spin of the arms of the Milky Way itself, the galaxy, there are different opportunities for growth and evolution on this planet that we call Earth, Gaia. And so it's super exciting time. As you all know, some of the significations for the Plutonic force and energy are literally, I believe, best exemplified by the events that take place in a caterpillar's life. And these are all quite indicative of the opportunity for transformation and reinvention that we all have at this pivotal time in the cycle. And so first, I would like to speak a little bit about the lunar cycle that we are, the phase of the lunar cycle that we are in. We are in the closing stage of the current lunar cycle that began with the new moon, prior to the new moon, in the early part of the month of August. And I believe I posted a video at that time. If you would like more information, given my assessment of the situation, you can watch that video. I won't get into that now, but I do want to highlight that during this balsamic stage, which actually begins around 3 to 4 days before the new moon is on the 2nd. And so we are now just a couple of days before. And this is really the broadcasting of those seeds that you want to nurture as the new moon goes exact. And that's going to happen at around 10 according to the program, that the software that I am using to evaluate that time. When I Googled the time of the new moon, it came up as, I believe, 9:55 p.m. on the Eastern coastline, and I'm using Miami time. You would have to adjust for your location, and that you can easily do that via any of the online AstroSeek, astro.com. I will link those on the description to this email so that you can have easy accessibility to those websites where you can not only cast your chart, but also research the time of the new moon and begin to avail yourself of this amazing event that happens on a monthly basis, and the moon is always readily available for viewing. And if it's not visible, then you would know that the moon is either going into its seed stage, which is the new moon, and or fully available during the daylight hours, which means that it is approaching either the first square or the third square at the end of the lunar cycle. The balsamic stage is a time for clearing the activities that you have been working on for the growth, the waxing stage of the moon, right? From new to full, the moon is known to be waxing. After the full moon, the moon is waning. It is reducing in its illumination. And so we know that that is a time when activities come to a close. Specifically after the full moon, we would be finishing up tasks and getting ready for the closing of the cycle. And then as we approach the new moon, we begin our forward thinking, right? We leave behind the things that have happened during the full moon, prior to the full moon phase, the things that caught our attention, the activities that were growing at that time, because that has already found its fulfillment at the full moon. And so after the full moon is the harvest season of the cycle. And so we begin to reap the rewards of what we have sown during its growing phase. And at this time, we are in the shadow, increasing in the decrease of light on the face of the moon is indicative of a shadow phase where the subconscious becomes more available to you. You may become obsessed, particularly during this time that we have such an incredible Plutonian directive in our midst, with Pluto actually at the very top of the chart in the 10th house, where it is currently in Capricorn at the midheaven. So whatever work it is that you're here to do in your own evolutionary journey is being highlighted as front and center in our lives at this point. And while Pluto's lessons are not easy to contend with because they do require a transmutation and a transformation at a cellular level, a molecular level, within our own physiology, within our own thinking process, within our own nervous system, within our own digestive system. Remember that in Capricorn, this sets the stage for a trine relationship with the other earth signs, which are Virgo and Taurus. So we have this ease of opportunity to work with the physical realm, the relative realm of existence, which includes our physiology and the body of the earth. And being integrated and sound in our thinking is super important. Let's not forget that Virgo, where this new moon is taking place in the Western astrological wheel, it rules the digestive system. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury rules the nervous system. So we have here an opportunity for purification, which is a signification for the sign of Virgo, for purification of our mind, mental body, of our physical body, of our spiritual structure. We consider the significations of Capricorn, which deals with the structure itself, the foundation of our life. And because this involves the Plutonian directive of transformation and transmutation, just as a butterfly, just like the life of a caterpillar, whose life is turned to larvae, which is exactly what has happened in that Capricorn, wherever Capricorn is in your natal chart, that house has undergone an incredible demolition, you know, a total pulling apart of all the things that perhaps you held dear. We have all suffered losses in that area of life specifically. And now, at this juncture, Pluto is retrograde, going back into that Capricorn area of life to test, to make sure that you learn the lesson. And this is not a time for impulsivity. This is a time for an inner stand on what you know to be truth in your own life. I specifically have that directive in my ascendant. And so my life has been completely transformed over the course of the last 16 years that it took for this incredible plow to go through the house of my identity. So at this time, I find that you might find yourself having to own that space that you know is your inner truth, and to do so unapologetically and to claim your power. No one is going to give you success. Nobody's going to say that you are successful unless you have already understood that to be the core of who you are, right? You are abundance, you are prosperity. Pluto means wealth, and Pluto is it's in Greek, within the Greek mythological understanding, the meaning of Pluto is wealth, and Pluto can only claim that wealth through the transmutation and transformation of its own molecular structure. This is at the level of the DNA, where your understanding and your comprehension of yourself as a being of light supersedes any projections that are coming at you from the outside. Pluto is about sovereignty. It's about owning your special place in your own evolutionary cycle, with or without the approval of others. And when it comes, if Pluto's in your first house, it has to do with your identity. It has to do with that which you project onto the world, the way that you present yourself, who you are at your innermost subconscious level. It is not the story that we pretend to tell ourselves and to tell others about how special we are, but really owning that at the core of who you are. If it's in the second house, it has to do with your speech, with the work that you do and the wealth that you claim from that work at the level of activity in the world. It has to do with your throat. It has to do, with what you say, with the spoken word, right? Because it's ruled by Taurus. If it's in the third house, it's Gemini. It's the ideas, the duality of life, and how you have claimed your core as the non-dual self, right? That which is one with creation, and with the creator, as opposed to the ever-changing third dimensional level of reality. If it's in your fourth house, if Capricorn is in your fourth house, then your home life and your relations with your mother, or the mother principle, has been shaken at its core. And so you may have moved quite often, you may have found yourself, the foundations of what you call home being our physical structure at the end of the day, has been shaken in some way. If it's in your fifth house, then it has to do with your creativity, your leadership, the inner child, and the inner wounds that you carry as a result of having been born human, right? So if it's in your sixth house, it has to do with your health and your service in the world. It may have involved pets and your own what we call the pet peeves, right? Which is none other than some arrogance that we carry from an inner wound that we may have suffered. It also has to do with being challenged by other people and the enemies that are that have come into our life due to some karmic seed. If it's in your seventh house, it has to do with partnerships, contracts, and associations. They could be based on love, but not necessarily. It's just any contract, any association, any partnership. If it's in, that's the seventh house. If it's in your eighth house, these are our occult enemies. These are the enemies that exist within our own subconscious, the way that we see the world as triggering us and blaming and victimhood and martyrdom. These are the hidden enemies that we carry within our own subconscious experience. If it's in your ninth house, it may have to do with setting up the philosophical framework and conceptual ideas that carry you forth so that, owning that space, owning that within the realm of your own spirit, because this is about higher knowledge, it's about higher knowing, and that knowing can only come from within yourself as opposed to adopting to philosophical values of others and perceptions that are cast on the sphere of influence of your life. If it's in the 10th house, Capricorn, it has to do with your career. That's where you have experienced the greatest shakeup and the greatest challenge to the accomplishment of what you see yourself as in leadership. So that may have been, you may have experienced some great tremors and earthquakes in that area of your life. Remember that Capricorn is an earth sign, right? So it's about sovereignty. It's about the GOAT, right? The greatest of all time. How are you claiming that in the area of life that is highlighted by the house in which Capricorn is placed? If it's placed in the 10th, this is your karma. This is your calling in the world. Where is it that you see yourself as shining your light in the highest value of what makes you inspired, what makes you innovate, what creates that out-of-the-box thinking in the sphere of operation that the 10th house is in for you, and the placements that you may have in your house. And the 11th house is a house of success. It's a house of inspiration. It's the house of, for goodness sake, the centaur. It's the house of Sagittarius itself, which is the philosophy and the framework upon which you build your inner knowing, that base of information that is your core, that helps you navigate this third dimensional realm with an understanding that your feet are firmly planted in the ground while your mind is forever searching that higher knowledge, right? And it is about your tribe. It is about those that welcome you into their sphere for the purpose of providing support and anchoring you in higher understanding. If it's in the 12th house, the 12th house is the end of the story, right? So here we come into the realm of self-undoing, self-sabotage, and perhaps where you may have been in a tsunami of emotional response to the collective unconscious, which is ruled by that directive of the 12th house, which has to do with secrets, clandestine experiences, self-undoing. A lot of times escapism may have involved substances or people, that those substances can be people, places, and things that cause for you to engage in martyrdom and self-sabotage, not owning up to the Plutonian directive to claim your space and to claim your mastery, self-mastery. And so here we are. I'm going to take a look at the chart. And so we have Pluto at the very top of the chart in Capricorn, just actually ingressing into that area on the first and the second. That is a very late stage degree. If you have any planets at the late degrees of any sign, you may be more inclined to seek that freedom, to break free from the bounds and the shackles and whatever's been holding you back. This is the time to put all your eggs in the basket of your own life and seek ascension in that area of life. It is also going to highlight the cardinal cross, because Capricorn is in alignment on the axis of the world, and that being the axis points, the cardinal points of Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, and Libra. Not surprisingly, the Virgo axis will highlight a mutable. Mutable means that it's changeable. So you have an opportunity here to, you know what? I'm doing it my way. And I did it my way. Go listen to that song. I did it my way, or A Star is Born. This is truly the message that I want to leave you with here today, to consider how, and to have the courage, to have the wherewithal, to understand the lessons that you have learned and that you have reaped as a result of having to have gone through those very painful experiences that were brought on by Pluto. Pluto does not take prisoners. Your world has been transformed in this area. This is a 240-year opportunity. We will never see this again during our lifetime. It'll be another 240 years before Pluto goes back into Capricorn. This is a game changer. It is about to change signs in mid-October, and there it is. And this is it. This is the opportunity that we all have. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. You have the choice right now to gather yourself, many of us in pieces, after what we have seen take place in the world since 2008. You would have to have been practically, not functioning, and even if you were functioning, the gasps of change that we have all been through, I hope have not been in vain, and that you have seen that the powers that upon which we may have relied to take care of us, or perhaps our space or our family or the economy and everything else in it, our health, everything has been challenged. And what are you walking away with? How have you claimed your sovereignty? How have you reclaimed yourself from governmental structures that we thought were designed to have uplifted humanity, and instead have betrayed the trust of the global village? And so I'm not monetized on this channel right now, so I can, I doubt that any of this, those of you who have ears to hear have heard, and those of you who have eyes to see have seen, and those of us who have wanted to dig our head in the sand, many of us will have no other choice but to bear witness to what has happened and to take the next tack in our own evolutionary growth to be able to come out of this amazing journey. No one is unscathed. Everyone will emerge, pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps and understanding that the power that we wield within, that inner knowing that is one with the creative life force of the entire universe, and claim your space in that regard. Because anything short of that is a disservice to yourself and a disservice to your evolutionary potential. So I love you all. I want to say also that keeping your physiology and your nervous system free, it's like this, right? From my experience, what I have seen and what I feel in my spirit, people are going to call you crazy. People are going to say that, that you can't, or people are going to take your work and claim it as their own, or people are going but yet make you feel like diminished or make you feel like your work is not what it, or your writing or your speech or your YouTube channel or whatever creative opportunity you see yourself developing, people are going to challenge you. And this is a time where we dust ourselves off and we're like, you know what? This is my experience. And when you come from that place of true honesty and clarity and transparency out into the world, those who need to find you will. And those who are ready for your message will seek you out. And you don't have to do anything but just show up and give voice to what you've learned. And that is super powerful because the word is one with God. And you are a co-creative life force in this universe. And you are one with all that is. This is the most ancient teaching in all scriptural knowledge from whichever tradition. You can look at Buddhism, you can look at Vedic science, you can look at Hinduism, you can look at Christian thought, you can look at Islam, you can look anywhere. And this is what it'll tell you if you go back to the original scripture. And that is that Tat Bam Asi, I am one with all that is. You are that, I am that. And until you're ready, and Pluto is here to transmute your inner knowing so that you're able to claim that and rise to your highest, because faith in the unseen, there's no other way to live. And that is the main teaching. The goat gets to the mountaintop, and the mountaintop is consciousness. When Martin Luther King spoke about the mountaintop, what was he speaking about? What was his message? That mountaintop will give you the perspective from way up above of all that is the spinning of the wheel of life, so that you can claim your center in your own self. Pluto is here to teach you that wealth is within, and that you have the prosperity, the abundance. Those who receive less have asked for less. Ask and you shall receive. And this is the time when you claim that knowledge and you move forward with the inner knowing that you are that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am the universe. The universe is within me. And there you are. All love to you. Thank you for listening. I know I ranted a bit, but this time on Earth is worthy of a rant or two, because we are lit. We are on fire for the next few days. We are at the balsamic phase, which means it's the cleaning of the table. It's the cleaning of, it's the purification stage, so that you can allow the space within your mind and heart to open to receive. This is a time for listening. This is why meditation is so important. This is why stretching your body, sitting under the sunlight. If the sun heals, if there's any impurity in the body, it comes from your diet. Right? So clean up your diet, drink more pure water. The sun heals, go under the sun, be in nature. What else can I tell you during this time as we go into this new moon? Purify, 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 purify your space, purify your life, clean your life of distractions, of what no longer serves you. Know yourself to be one with the divine. And on the date of the new moon, take the time to renew your inner sense of purpose, journal, speak the voice, speak out loud that which you are bringing into your space and into your life. And in the days after the new moon, meaning after September 2nd, in the first, particularly those first 3 days, hold your space as sacred. And sacred means to sacrifice anything. Sacred, it actually comes from the Latin word sacer, which means sacred. And to make sacred, it means to honor. And that means to honor that inner calling within your own spirit. Pluto will have nothing less than the transmutation and transformation of your life. So that's what Pluto takes on, the sovereignty. It's about sealing that auric space within your life so that you can move forward from your center, from the center of your own inner knowing. This is not a time to explain to other people where you're at or what you're doing. Or if you're connected to others at that level, you're missing the point. This is a time, this journey is the hero's journey, and the hero travels lightly. This is not a time for baggage. This is a time to stick with those you love and to those who love you back and who have demonstrated that to you. And if you have any doubt, that's a no. A doubt is always comes from the intuitive level of awareness telling you something about what's happening in your environment. So if you're feeling uneasy, don't do it. If you're feeling like, I might not, the answer is no. Always, unless it's a full yes, the answer is always no. It means to pull yourself out of those environments and those places because Pluto will tear you apart. And the Pluto is not a force outside of you. It's those spaces within your own subconscious which you know are not in alignment with your journey and you do anyway. When you do, that's Pluto within you. When you do it anyway, you're going against the Plutonian directive within yourself. Nothing out there can have an impact on you without your permission. And you give your permission. And sometimes we don't know that because it's the subconscious. And it goes back to those lessons that we have learned in life. And when we betray ourselves, when we sabotage ourselves, that's when, the Plutonian directive comes and tears you up. That is your own inner guidance system putting you back on track to your own evolutionary purpose, where you will receive the most support from the invisible realm, manifesting itself as creation right in front of you. People will come out of nowhere to support you and hold your hand. Sometimes the things that we least want and that we feel, oh, why is this happening to me? Because your evolutionary space is elsewhere, or you have betrayed yourself by not listening to your inner voice, that inner small voice that comes in when you're silent inside. Get to know that voice. That voice is your guardian angel, and it lives with you your entire life until you learn how to prioritize that relationship. You will forever hit the wall. So meditate, take time on your own, purify. We're going into this stage. You have received instructions here that are divinely inspired from my own guardian angel, which is the creative life force of the entire universe. And I hope that they serve you well. All blessings. I am now stopping the recording. Love you all. Look in the description box for links that may help you. Thank you. Bye.